Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Jimmy Song, and this is Off Chain. I haven't done a show in a while, and I got back like a day ago. Um, Feels good to be back. I think I'm over jet lag. There's this body hack that I've been using where you more or less fast for 24 hours right before breakfast of where you land. I did that on my way back from Tel Aviv, and it seems to have worked. I woke up this morning at like 6:30, which is a little bit early, but I feel pretty good. And I was up most of yesterday. I didn't take a nap or anything. So yeah, it worked. So yeah, I can bring you guys a show. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to do a Q&A because I feel like I haven't connected with my audience in a while, and you can see that I'm already suffering from some cedar fever right underneath my nose. So anyway, um, yeah, I guess I can like try to look through stories or whatever if things get like that. But anyway, let's take a look at some questions from chat. How concerned are you with attacks on the Lightning Network that have yet to be discovered or resolved? That is a really, really good question. I'm somewhat concerned. Most of the attacks on Lightning, I think, would be sort of peer to peer, which is interesting because most attacks on Bitcoin tend to be sort of like malware based or something like that, which is sort of broadcast to everybody, and then you download it by accident, or because the email promised like something, like nude pictures or something, and you click it by accident, or well, not by accident because they're enticing you to click it, and then you get phished. With Lightning, it's kind of a different model because you have to have peer-to-peer connections with other payment channels that you have. So it may be that those are that's like the biggest attack vector, and that the surface isn't that large, but there's a possibility that they can sort of come in through that one channel, knowing where you are, knowing that you do have a Lightning channel open, and do something with it because your private key is more or less online whenever you are conducting Lightning transactions. So yeah, that's sort of a very different take than almost everything else. There are wallets where you are online and stuff like that, but very rarely is it in memory. Usually, it's in there for a very short time. But with Lightning, it's in there quite often. So there's sort of a different flavor to the types of attacks I think we can expect on Lightning. That said, there's a reason why they limit it to like 0.04 bitcoins, which I think at last check is like $350. It's because you have to, they want you to be very careful with the money, and you don't lose too much should something like that come. Part of the process of hardening is sort of putting it out there on the network and giving people an incentive. This might not be quite as much incentive, but we can kind of figure out what's going on and go from there. All right, here's another one. When will we, the mass, begin to see the benefits from the Lightning Network? Well, I mean, if you're on the Lightning Network and you actually want the products that are there, like stickers from Blockstream or like VPN from TorGuard or something like that, I'd say that's you're already seeing the benefits. But it sort of takes time for the network to build up, and until there's a gooder service that you desire that's on the network, it's kind of useless at the moment. And or maybe you want to get paid with the Lightning channel. That might also be something. I'd love to see somebody build something like an Amazon Turk integration with Lightning or something like that, so you get paid on a per mechanical Turk task or something like that, and based on like a variety of factors. But something like that would be a great business to try out, because that's a great way to get a bunch of respondents. I'm kind of surprised something like earn.com hasn't worked on something like that already, because their whole thing is you get paid to respond to email. Well, yeah, it's sort of an extension of that. If you want to distribute Bitcoin, this is actually a really good way to do it, is to pay people for doing something. Most tasks, though, online aren't worth that much, so you can't pay them in Bitcoin because the fees are too high. But if you do it over Lightning, now all of a sudden you might have all sorts of ways in which you can pay people. Wonder if this that makes me speculate. I wonder if this will be the death of the CAPTCHA once Lightning is out there, because what you can do is if you have sort of a Lightning channel open with some group some service somewhere that can sort of solve CAPTCHAs for you very conveniently. Maybe you can write a script and get around all of that and just use human power to do it. I tend to think that public key cryptography is what we really need for these logins. Instead, what we have are just sort of shared secrets. But thing about a shared secret is that either side can leak the secret. That seems to be where we are right now in terms of security in that regard. So I don't know. Maybe Lightning can be sort of this thing where which will lead to a more secure web through use of generalized public key cryptography, of which Bitcoin is just one of them. All right, let's see. I think Caleb's worried about broadcasting an old state when I have nothing to lose. This is why with a Lightning channel, you are forced to sort of close when you have a tiny balance. It's a way to make sure that you don't sort of cheat when you have nothing to lose. I think there's a whole game theory around Lightning that's absolutely fascinating. But I think CAPTCHA calls it like good game. Like if you're kind of a jerk, you can force the other person to do multiple transactions to get at their Bitcoin that they've gotten through the channel. But if you're nice, you can just say good game and just sort of not contest that tiny amount or something like that. So yeah, if you try to broadcast the previous state, you'll lose the little bit that you're supposed to get back as part of the channel. The Lightning channels are sort of designed that way for that reason. All right, let's see some other stuff. Jimmy. Yes, the lost son is back. I don't know. Have you fallen out with Tone? No, I have not. He's just at a Tony Robbins event or something, and in a different part of the country. It's a lot easier to coordinate these shows when we're in the same or similar time zone. I've been traveling all over the world. I don't know how Tone does shows on the road, man. I've been more or less just eating, sleeping, traveling, and teaching the last 3 weeks. Like my inbox got to some insane number. And I like to keep my inbox at 0. So that was just so painful. When I came back and I'm like, oh my God, I have to process 200 emails or something. And this was me constantly going through and filtering them. These were actual ones that I really had to respond to. So yeah, it took a while. And I don't know how Tone does these shows on the road, man. At least for me, when I'm not eating, sleeping, or traveling, I just want, or teaching, I just want to relax. I also spoke at a few events and stuff like that. I love doing those, but planning a show, I don't know if you guys realize, but if you have a 10 or 20 minute show, you have to put in a solid 30 minutes to an hour of prep, so you know what you're going to talk about. This one is a little more off cuff because I have question and answer, and that's a little bit easier. But at least the ones that Tone and I do, we have to think of stories and just sort of give ourselves sort of some time to figure out what we're going to say and stuff like that, and do a little bit of research, make sure they're not fake or something. So no, I haven't had a falling out with Tone. I look forward to doing more shows with him, but I'm attending Satoshi Roundtable next week, so I don't know if that's going to work out. Who knows? I may try to do some more broadcasts of that, depending on when that happens. All right. How are you doing? I am doing great. Other than the slight bit of allergies, I wish I could have worked out a lot more during the 2 weeks I was traveling. I pretty much did nothing. I did get in a workout yesterday, some squats and some benches. So that I'm a little bit sore from that because my body's just not used to it. Anyone that's power lifted before, kind of, when you're out of practice a little bit, the first time you're going to be a little bit sore. So Yeah, I'm a little bit sore, but other than that, it's good. Let's see. When Lightning guaranteed safe? Well, I mean, nothing is ever guaranteed to be safe, right? Like, even Bitcoin is not guaranteed to be safe. There may be like exploits against it at some point. We don't know. I mean, you just sort of get to the point where you're comfortable, and enough people have done it, and enough other sort of like enough other things are out there that that you get comfortable, and you know that it works well enough that for yourself to do it. So I don't know, you know, when it'll be considered safe enough. But certainly, if there's a lot of nodes and a lot of activity, and nobody's sort of screwed out of their money, you know, that will increase more and more confidence in Lightning. I mean, it took Bitcoin like, you know, several years before that happened. I think Lightning will be faster, but we don't really know. Will Bitcoin go up again, and when? Go ask Tone. I don't know. It does feel like we bounced a little bit, so. Saturday Dead can't bounce. Is it a bull trap, or is it like you know, back on our way back up high? I don't really know. Travis Dartage asks, can you explain the drop in the mempool like a week and a half ago? What happened there? I suspect that a lot. Well, there's sort of two answers to this. There's the, you know, tinfoil hat answer, and there's sort of like a more you know, charitable answer. Let's start with the charitable answer. Maybe Coinbase and blockchain.info and a bunch of other companies that were sort of doing really inefficient things. They figured out ways to not spam the blockchain, and, you know, like upgrade their infrastructure, and like correct some of the more egregious mistakes that were causing the mempool to grow way too much. There's sort of, you know, that's a perfectly fine explanation. It doesn't really take much to reduce it, because like if you're at equilibrium, then it's, you know, blocks are full, and it only takes a little bit more than, you know, the number of transactions per time in order for the mempool to sort of grow indefinitely. But if you're just a little bit under, then it just sort of goes on a continuous decline, and that seems to be what's happened. The tinfoil hat answer is that the miners were, or some entity was spamming the blockchain, and it was costing them too much money, so they stopped. That's a possibility as well. Another is that, you know, like people are doing more off-chain transactions. I think maybe Bitcoin Cash people would say that people are moving to Bitcoin Cash or something like that. I don't know. All I know right now is that fees are pretty low, and if you want to get in some transactions, you can get them in for like 5 Satoshi per byte, which ends up being like, you know, 30 cents or something. I mean, I moved like a lot of my UTXOs and consolidated some of them, and things like that. Very good time to go do. So, you know, I would suggest you guys do the same if you can. All right, let's see another one. Congrats, Tone. Yeah, Tone's pretty good at this stuff. All right. Do you plan a video tutorial on how to set up a Lightning node? I might, especially if there's demand for it. I definitely do want to set up my own, just so I can sell these cheat sheets. I think I already told you guys I want to sell these. They cost me about $5, and probably about $5 to, you know, ship and stuff like that. Maybe I can figure out a way to drop ship those, or get them printed, and I have someone take care of it for me. But I would totally love to have a Lightning store. Just haven't gotten around to it. Obviously, I've been traveling and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Next question. When Honda Civic? I think, see, a Honda Civic costs what, like $18,000. So we got like another, you know, 10,000 to go or so. So I don't know. That's gonna take a while. All right. Will hardware wallets integrate Lightning node options? That's a really good question. I certainly hope so. And certainly, if you're a hardware wallet maker, this is probably on your roadmap. You know, you're going to need something to support the people that want to run those. And certainly, if you have sort of Lightning transactions that you can sort of sign off of a Trezor or something like that, that would be really useful. By the way, Ledger, you really need to get your stupid WebSocket stuff up and running. It's very annoying that I can't even transfer anything out of my Ledger wallet. I have some business accounts in there, and I need to transfer them. And the fact that I can't is just kind of a big disgrace. And it makes me not want to use them. Been giving them out and stuff at different programming blockchain seminars, and I kind of feel bad that I gave them away because it just doesn't work right now. I mean, how do you not have some sort of offline validation option? There's so many ways you can do that. Anyway, all right, let's see some other stuff. Do you think there will be ASICs for the GPU algo? Anytime something gets sufficiently profitable, people will create FPGAs first, then ASICs. Thing about those is that they require some lead time and more manufacturing expertise and specialized knowledge in order to execute. And so I like CPU mining. It's mostly just creating some sort of just a program to do it. CPU is very generalized. It's usually pretty easy to program. GPU, you're gonna need more specialized software to program those. And then FPGA, you're more or less programming hardware circuits, and finally at ASIC level, you're designing chips. So it gets progressively harder as you go sort of lower down the stack, from sort of software to a little bit hardware to moving around hardware to down to the bare chips. So yeah, it really depends on profitability. People are very creative with this stuff, and if something is profitable enough, it will get sort of made into the most efficient thing that it possibly can be. All right, has anyone done analysis to see if wallets have signed transactions with the same random value using a bad number generator? I would guess so. Yeah, so I think what you're talking about is the K value in the signature that's used to generate the R part of the signature. And I guess it would be easy enough just to do a blockchain analysis and look for the R value, parsing the dir signature, and see if any of them are the same. And that's very easy to do, I would guess. Yeah, and if they collide, that means that somebody, maybe a wallet, maybe some, or it was testing or something like that, is using a bad random number generator. One of the things is if you sign the same thing with two different K values, then you reveal your private key. So that, by the way, is how the PlayStation hack worked. They used the same K value more than once and signed the same thing. And so people were able to get, somebody was able to get their private key. So you have to be very, very careful. But yeah, no one has done that analysis as far as I know, but I'd actually kind of be interested in what's going on with that. All right, do you think banks will eventually make up a part of the Lightning Network? I don't know. I guess if it makes sense. I don't see banks really as innovators. I mean, how long did it take them to embrace the web? And that was only because so many people were demanding it. So many of their customers, they don't really innovate, man. And they might try. I mean, they already have behemoths, and they have bureaucracies you wouldn't believe. There's a reason why Citibank has 50,000 employees. See, it's because it's first of all, merged with 18 other banks over time. And they don't really fire anybody because they're really risk averse, and they're already making enough money that they don't need to optimize or make themselves efficient in any way. So a lot of banks have whole rooms of people that just process fax machines and stuff. So it's ridiculous. I really doubt that they get into a business like that. They're really risk averse. They have custody issues with private keys and things like that. So I don't think banks as we know them would be a part of the Lightning Network. But the big hubs of the Lightning Network in the future might be known as something like a bank. But I mean, obviously they'd have to have like security and all this other stuff. Otherwise they lose their shirt. So the nice thing is you don't have to trust anybody. I mean, other than with your privacy a little bit, with only with the people that you're directly connected to. You can actually have like long chains of handoffs in a Lightning network, and all the middle nodes actually don't know anything about the transaction other than the amount, and they don't know anything about you. So it's kind of ideal for that. And if you don't trust somebody, just don't open a direct channel with them. You can connect to somebody else that does, but yeah, you don't have to. All right, let's see. Thank you. Who spun up the Amazon node to force SegWit? I'm not sure what you're talking about. If somebody wants to enlighten me, let me know. Why does layer 1 need to be limited to, say, decentralized, but layer 2 can be unlimited and still be decentralized? Because you're not broadcasting to everyone. There's no public good that you're protecting. With layer 1, you have a blockchain that whenever you make any transaction, every single person on the network has to pay the cost of the bandwidth that you're receiving and sending, the amount on disk that you have to put on, you have to store with, and everything else. With layer 2, it's all peer-to-peer communication. Nobody else cares about your transaction. They don't even, other than the path along which your transaction goes, nobody really cares. And that way, it can grow as much as you want. You're sort of shifting the burden from everyone having the same ledger to having a ledger of just you and the direct channels that you've opened. So if you have 5 channels open, you only care about those 5 mini ledgers. You don't care about anyone else's ledger. And in fact, maybe you do if there's like a lightning path that can't be found or something like that. But that's like a more technical routing discussion. But as far as you're concerned, you only care about the 5 mini ledgers of 2 people each on the Lightning network. If you have 5 channels, if you have n channels, you only care about those n little mini ledgers. With layer 1, you care about the entire Bitcoin ledger and every possible transaction that's going on there. So it's a very different model and a very different burden for each person. All right. Bravo on the new gig. Thanks. Let's see. Can you make a video on how to install Lightning Wallet and have it up and running? Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I don't know how good it'll be, but I guess I could give it a shot. Send a few. Yeah. Let's ban that guy. No soliciting. Hide this user. All right. Don't troll. Satoshi himself says if the majority were based on one IP address, it could be subverted. Is this the end of the world? Should I stock up on food and water? Well, it's just a good idea to have some food and water handy in case you go get hungry. So that part's pretty easy. You should, because that's what normal people do. I don't think it's the end of the world, though. When launch? Ask Tone. Ask somebody else. That's my area of expertise. I don't know about BitConsent. Are you accepting BAT tokens from Brave users yet? I don't think so. I don't really care to get any of that stuff. Yeah, so I'm fine. What's your take on the? Oh, wait, where'd that guy go? What happened? Oh, here. What's your take on the last 24 to 48 hours of crypto market with dips? Maybe you can calm down the weekends with some sensible rationale. Yeah, first of all, everything is up from 1 year ago, like Jason Johnson's saying. But yeah, it's markets go up, markets going down. I've been reading Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb, very good book. A lot of the action that's happening is actually noise. You have on a day-to-day basis, most trading is mostly noise. It's only like over longer time periods that you start seeing signal. And right now we're seeing a lot of noise. Is it dipping on a long-term basis? I don't think so. I mean, is it gonna be another 3-year bear market? Possibly. It could also be another bounce like in the next 6 months or something like that. I don't know. The key thing though is that you have to know who you are. If you're a trader, then you trade, right? Like you get in and out of positions. You do whatever you need to and make money off of volatility. You're not really making money off of appreciation. But if you're a holder or if you're an investor or somebody that's trying to do something over the long term, then you can't let the minute to minute volatility sort of affect you, and that's sort of a mistake a lot of amateurs make. And obviously it hurts a little bit. Well, no, not just a little bit, a lot when you're down 60% or something like that, whatever we have. But we've been saying this for a long time. We've been through 60% dips before. We've been through 70%, 80%, 95% dips before. And fact of the matter is we've survived all of them. So is it going to survive this one? There's no guarantee, but it does seem like sort of a market thing and less about anything fundamental. So something to think about. What do you think about tethers and market manipulation? Obviously, there's a lot of concern, and certainly if I mean, we pointed out on our show that Chris Ellis had taken out his warrant canary from his Twitter account. So we knew something was up, and I think that was pretty much it. That somebody in the U.S. was investigating them about Tether. Probably some consumers concerned about hey, what's going on, and enough complaints come in, and then regulators get involved. So I don't know. It might be something. It might be nothing. I mean, if you were going to scam, I would imagine that you wouldn't pick something so elaborate. It does feel a little bit too elaborate to be a scam, but then again, who the hell? What the hell do I know about scams? I don't know. It's really hard to say. What about the hash power that came online? Hash power is always coming online. I don't know if it went up a lot or something like that, but that's just a constant thing. It's just such a profitable business. And, we did hear recently that Samsung's getting into the mining game. I predicted this like over a year ago. Bitmain is making like insane amounts of money. So, I said, it's probably not going to be a small player. It's probably going to be a big player that really rocks this thing. And, given the interest in Korea and, Samsung being headquartered in Korea, it makes sense to me that they're getting in. To connect with a Lightning Network hub, do we need to identify ourselves? Is unregulated LN hub possible? Yeah, of course. You can open a Lightning Network hub with a stranger if you wanted to. So, it's entirely up to you. All right. What is your opinion of your students last couple of weeks all over the world, and did many attend? Yeah. Well, so I had like 83 or something like that. Yeah, all very bright people. Pretty impressed. Yeah, I couldn't believe that, there was one guy that was 16 years old that took my seminar, and he kept up, which was pretty impressive. He was complaining about how he wasn't really learning anything at school. Good on you, man. And props to his dad for sending him to the seminar. I think one of the hardest parts of parenting is figuring out what your kid is capable of, and like sort of challenging your kid to sort of provide value to society through like what they're interested in, and that family seems to have found it. I had another guy that was like 17. He came all the way from South Africa. So a lot of young people that are in this thing. Also, just a huge variety of people. A lot of different types of people mid-career, people early career, people right out of college, even high school. A lot of people that are older that are looking to establish things. So, all kinds of different ways in which, in which you can get into this industry. I'm overall very satisfied with everybody. I sent out like PGP certificates yesterday. That's what I do. Instead of like a paper certificate, I give them a PGP certificate. All right, let's see. Still splitting forks? Yes, I am. And in fact, I'm gonna have to do more of that because I got way behind. So I'm trying to catch up today. Thanks, Michael, for your $2. Let's see, what else is there? Which implementation will you use in the LN demo setup? Probably LND, but who knows? We'll see. I heard Bitcoin Wallet 0.16 is almost ready and all addresses will be SegWit. The key thing to 0.16 is that we'll have native SegWit, which is a bigger savings than sort of nested SegWit or wrap SegWit. And that's because it's using sort of Bech32. I mean, these are the addresses that will look like Bech32, BC1, something, something, something. And that it's a huge innovation, you know, sort of using that, but not a lot of wallets support Bech32. So they made it backwards compatible with P2SH wrapping. So you see SegWit addresses that start with a 3. 0.16 will support native Bech32 SegWit addresses. So that's the exciting part. I'm hoping that a lot of wallets will follow suit. I especially hope like you know, BIP49, which is sort of like the SegWit derivation of like HD wallet, something like that, can be extended for Bech32 addresses, and that will become sort of a standard. That'll definitely help with you know, block sizes, because it's something like 20 bytes per input or something like that, cheaper, and you know, that adds up real fast. So you know, when you have like 200 byte transactions. Let's see. Yeah, as far as you know, scripts, I have my hard fork help library on GitHub if you want to take a look. It handles like 5 or 6. I'm still trying to get like I forget, Bitcoin Faith and Bitcoin World working. But yeah, it takes some time. All right, let's see. Do you think there will be a time in the near future where Bitcoin will manage to disconnect from influencing and being influenced by other tokens? It's a dynamic system. I really doubt that. You know, like there would be like sort of a mutual exclusivity. I mean, even asset classes that are like completely different tend to somewhat be correlated just because the same people own both things or something like that. So, for example, I might own some gold and some real estate, and if there's like a capital call where I have to, you know, send in some money somewhere, what tends to happen is, you know, I have to liquidate one or the other. And if, like, say, real estate is down, then I might sell some gold, right? Because I don't want to sell real estate at a loss or something like that. Or on the other hand, I might sell the real estate because I think it's going to go down further. You know, like, so there's sort of like correlations depending on that. And, you know, like another example might be if you get taxed on your real estate and you need to pay for it, you might take a loan against the real estate, or you might sell some of the other gold that you have or something like that. So I don't think, you know, like there will ever be a time when, you know, any two asset classes are completely uncorrelated. And you know, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency being the way it is, you know, people will generally like sort of group them together, especially like institutions at large, you know, family offices and stuff like that. They tend to hold like just sort of like top 10 or something. So they feel like diversified or whatever. They don't really understand that Bitcoin is sound money. All right, what is the deal with Ledger? Apparently, they have some sort of WebSocket that's not like connecting. So when you try to connect with the HW1 to their server just doesn't respond. Basically, their server's down, and that's a terrible user experience. I tweeted that the other, well, I think last night and a few days ago, and it's I hate it. I thought I had a nice hardware wallet with good security properties. Turns out that it's kind of unusable. But you know, I'm sure they'll get their act together at some point. I'm just sort of waiting for it. Do you believe in private blockchains? Do I believe that they exist? Yes, of course. But do I believe that they're going to be that useful? I don't know. It's still yet to be proven. I'd like to see somebody actually come up with a product that a lot of people are using first. What Swift Ledger? Already answered that. Can I export and import private keys to Ledger Nano S? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there's a sweep option for the Nanos because they more or less have just like a single private key or like a generator for a bunch of private keys, but you can't like sort of load it with new imported private keys. So that's a bit unfortunate. All right. Take some vitamin C, Jimmy. Yeah, I'll try. All right. Let's see. What's your take on proof of elapsed time? Haven't looked at it. Any prediction when we will have Lightning Network without bugs? When will it be ready for mass adoption? It'll be done when it's done. I think the market will sort of reflect it. I think that will be your best sort of indicator is when the market's using it. But who knows? Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, no, I don't think so. As a general statement, anyway. Could Ethereum become the prominent blockchain even though Bitcoin has existed longer? I mean, I guess anything is possible, but my gut feeling says no. Don't you think proof of work has the only flaw of Bitcoin, Jimmy? No, I think proof of work is perfectly fine. And this is an article that I really need to write down. But proof of stake and proof of whatever else is not really any better than proof of work. I keep referring people to Paul Stork's article, but apparently it's a little too long and too technical for a lot of people to grasp. So I'm going to try to distill a lot of the arguments into something a little simpler and just answer this question once and for all, because I've been asked this question like 10 times in the last few weeks. And I'm kind of getting sick of having to answer it, but suffice it to say, from an economics perspective, proof of work is not any worse than proof of stake. And I actually think proof of work is strictly better due to sort of the clarity we have around what it costs. I am not finished with Tone. He's just off in another place and we're having trouble coordinating. How and when Bitcoin can be quantum resistance? It sort of has some quantum resistance already. If you don't reuse addresses, what you have are hash pre-images. Quantum computers have no known algorithm for figuring out the hash pre-image of something, so you're sort of protected already. But I only say sort of because as soon as you reveal your public key as part of a transaction, it's possible, I guess, for quantum computer to see that and double spend against you with a higher fee and sort of coordinate with a miner to steal your coin. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a tricky question. All right, what will happen when people who own BTC die and haven't prepared for it? Lots of BTC will get lost. That's exactly what will happen. And yeah, this is why estate planning is important, right? Especially with a bearer instrument. Yeah, you can imagine sort of like pirates that buried their treasure and forgot to get it back. It's still buried somewhere. Good luck, Jimmy, for the future. Thank you. All right, let's see other stuff. What happens if the fees on Lightning Node is not enough to offset the bandwidth CPU costs to run the Lightning Node? Then you probably would close it out. That's it. That's all it is. All right, let's see. Yeah, so I mean, it only when it makes sense. I mean, you're either going to have to raise prices or reduce costs. Those are your options. I don't know what people will do. All right, let's see. I had another. Oh gosh. Do you foresee large swings in fees with small time frames like it's happening currently? Yeah, I suspect that a lot of these like fee estimation algorithms are like just completely off, and they're supposed to be right over the long term, but short term, it's human intuition. I think is still way better because you can go look at a mempool diagram and see what fees are sort of getting eaten into and what's sort of waiting in the mempool, and based on that sort of guess. My Trezor was like saying, hey, you're putting in 5 Satoshi per byte. That's going to take 2 days. It confirmed in like 10 minutes. So, part of it is it's using historical data to sort of use estimate fees for the current one. But historical data from like a day ago mempool might have just been a lot more full then. So it's really a hard one to gauge because there's no real single mempool. And you're going to sort of have to guess to some degree. But yeah, I've been doing mostly custom fees because I think I have a better intuition. That said, if you set the fee wrong, you might be stuck for a while, and especially if you set it just below like what it is currently, and fees like go up dramatically in the next few days. It's a lot like putting a limit order in many ways. It might just sort of get away from you and it never fill, or it might hit it, and in which case that's kind of nice. All right, proof of work or proof of elapsed time. I don't know what the latter is. If you had $2 billion in cash, would you show your bank accounts? If I am a public business, yes, I think that's kind of required. If I'm a private individual, absolutely not. World Crypto Network says Bitcoin is the best buy in the history of financial investments of all time now. How bullish are you right now? I've always been bullish. I believe in the product. I don't know. The whole bull and bear thing only makes sense in the context of trading. Do I think this technology is real? Absolutely. Do I think it's useful? Absolutely. Do I think it brings utility to millions of people? Yes, I do. And is that why I'm in it? Yes, that's why I'm in it. And if you have the same investment thesis, yeah, absolutely, go and buy some. But if you don't, or if you have a different investment thesis, you're going to have to evaluate the current situation based on the investment thesis that you have. Do I still recommend buying back? I recommend buying if you believe that it's a 5 to 10 year investment. If you're going to like sell after 6 months, whether or not it goes up or down by 2x or whatever, then don't buy. Don't buy. You're only just going to add more volatility, and you aren't really adding much. All right. Oh, yeah. Some people want me to go to Southeast Asia. There's an interesting opportunity that I'm going to have to go respond on email to. But yeah, suffice it to say, there's something in that area. At the very least, I'm going to have something in Hong Kong pretty soon. Trying to just get the details on the venue. And as soon as I have it, I'll announce it. If there was a video site with same capabilities as YouTube, but allowed people to donate or promote chats with crypto, would you consider switching to it? Probably not. I don't do this for the money. I'm mostly doing this for, fun to some degree, education. I feel like I'm donating to the community through it. You guys get to know me a little bit, and that way I can have a little more influence in my writing and stuff. But yeah, I'm not doing this for the money, and money is not the primary driver. If you had like better content capabilities or a bigger audience or something like that, that's what would sway me. Stefan Schlor, okay, that must be somebody else. Any other coins you feel have any value whatsoever? Obviously, CoinMarketCap thinks, the market thinks there's a lot of coins that have value. So I'll just leave it at that. I think the markets have more intelligence than any one of us in many ways, but it's also somewhat dumber in other ways. So I don't know. It's hard to say. All right. I like the text slant to this episode. Oh, great. Thanks. Let's see. Is it better to sweep private keys to a SegWit wallet like Green Address, or just send the transaction to the new wallet? Probably send the transaction to the new wallet, because then you can use the private keys to do like hard forks and stuff like that, which are continuously happening. It's kind of getting insane right now. Are you saying we can't send coins using a ledger right now? I couldn't with my Ledger HW1 because it needs like verification either with your cell phone or your security card. But the service that sort of does that is down. I can't believe they designed it with such a centralization. You really need something offline or decentralized to work. Is there a time when Bitcoin was hacked, like a Sybil attack? I don't think so. I mean, I think you're talking about a 51% attack. It hasn't happened yet. What's your opinion about Monero? Really cool technology. I have concerns about their UTXO sec growing, but I've coded it in it, and it's just really cool tech with confidential transactions and stuff like that. I wasn't talking about the Ledger Nano S. It's the HW1 that I was complaining about. Do I need to reveal my public IP? Wait, I already answered that question. If you're thinking about, okay, so you're thinking about setting up a BTC miner. Yeah, the economics of mining are pretty rough. Unless you have some scale or some other advantage, it tends to be pretty much bad proposition. You can almost always make more money just buying Bitcoin, and this has been known for a while. And this is sort of the thing that a lot of people go through. Excuse me. But yeah, a lot of people, when they first get into Bitcoin, immediately think that mining is where it's at, but then they find out it's been highly optimized. Then they start looking at altcoins, and then they realize like they're not really as good, and then they come back to Bitcoin and then buy. So I would encourage you to get to that final step before everybody else. It'll help you out. Could you be a dear and give us the link to the technical POW paper anyway? I don't know what paper you're talking about. What about DAG? Is it not better than proof of work and proof of stake? Directed acyclical graphs, I haven't studied that much. I know what they are from studying them in college, but that's about it. Yeah. Practical use of Bitcoin in the future. Store value, store value, store value. Let's see. What would be the practical use of Bitcoin in the future? I already answered that. How does one run a Lightning node? You have to download some software and send some money to it, and then open a channel. Let's see. Why do I only like Bitcoin? Because it's decentralized. If people have to turn off their Lightning nodes due to fees not covering costs, wouldn't that be centralizing? That's just some people, not everybody. And some people, don't buy Bitcoin or get out of it as well. So, whatever. All right, let's see. All right. No, I haven't. I'm not going to talk about ICOs or Cardano. Is Ethereum technically? I don't understand that question. Hi, Jimmy. Sometime could you show how to switch from Lightning Network testnet to mainnet? I use the Zap tool. Maybe I haven't used that tool. You should ask Jack Mullers and tweet at him. POW against POS. I think POW is better, and POS is just like obscure POW. Opinion about Ethereum. I think I've said that many times, so I won't get into it here. Let's see. Make a video about how to install a Lightning node. Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's about all of the questions. I think I've been on this for like 20 or 30 minutes. This actually went well. I might do this on a more regular basis, in addition to sort of the news and stuff that I like to cover. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the 470 live viewers. Can't believe, I think that might be a record for me. I'm not sure. I know Tone regularly gets like 800 or something like that. So kind of surprised. But yeah, thank you so much. And obviously tweet some more questions at me or something like that. I'll try my best to answer them. Anyway, this song is done.